guys, my name's Aubrey Adams. I'll be your meditation teacher today. I'm the founder of the Lotus Room, a virtual and in-person meditation studio. I love to guide people through loving, peaceful meditations to encourage love, peace, hope, and happiness in the world. So today we're going to do about a 15-minute meditation. Don't worry, it'll go by quick, even if you've never meditated before. This meditation will help cultivate peace within so that we can also cultivate peace without and create world peace. So I'm so excited to lead you through this meditation. If you guys would, close your eyes, get in a comfortable position. And when you're ready, take a deep breath through the nose, as deep as you can. Maybe holding that breath for a couple seconds at the top of the head. And when you're ready, exhale that breath through the mouth, sinking into the body, into the chair, into the present moment. Taking another deep breath as deep as you can through the nose. Maybe holding that breath for a few seconds at the top of your head. And when you're ready, exhale that breath through the mouth as deep as you can, sinking into the chair, into your body, and into the present moment. Taking one final really big breath in through the nose. Maybe holding that breath for a few seconds at the top of your head. And when you're ready, release that breath through the mouth, sinking into your chair, into your body, and into the present moment. Returning now to your natural breath, your natural breathing, whatever type of breathing feels good to you.
Il l'a laissé, il est parti, peut répondre quand tu as bébé, t'es pas même. Ah, quelle réponse!
I'm sorry. I'd like you to return to your natural breath, breathing however feels natural. Watching the rise and fall of the chest. Having awareness of the breath, the inhale and the exhale. Breathing however feels good to you. Awareness of expansion of the belly and release of the breath. Just taking note of the breath. Noticing where it feels good to breathe, noticing where it's difficult, noticing where there's ease. Leaning into the ease. And when there's difficulty, breathing deeper into the difficult. Releasing that tension, releasing that stress. Breathing, now becoming aware of the body. Breathing through the body. Breathing into the body. Exhaling through the body. Noticing where there's tension or stress in the body. Breathing into the body and releasing. Now becoming aware of the root of the spine, the base of the spine. Imagining a big, beautiful lotus flower blooming in this space, or any type of flower that you'd like blooming from this space. Becoming bigger, opening up your energy and body as well. This represents you overcoming and blooming past any instability or unsafety that you experience in your life. Overcoming, becoming peaceful within, becoming secure, becoming safe. Now moving up to the heart. Seeing the heart, feeling the heart, seeing a big, beautiful flower, opening, blooming, becoming bigger. Opening the heart. This represents you overcoming any negativity of the heart, any grudges, any heartbreak, overcoming, opening up. Blooming, opening the heart. Feeling maybe the pain or heartbreak, and then just transcending it, overcoming, blooming past it. And now seeing a flower at the top of your head, on top of your head, blooming, getting opening, becoming bigger. This represents enlightenment, you becoming more spiritually open to God, to oneness, to the universe, to humanity, whatever you'd like to imagine or believe in. Seeing this flower getting opening, becoming bigger, blooming, becoming more beautiful. This represents you overcoming any limiting beliefs around peace. Knowing peace begins with you, love begins with you, kindness begins with you, and war ends with you by cultivating peace, love, and kindness within. See the world in your mind's eye, the earth in your mind's eye, and send the earth love. Allowing all beings, all humans, all things to experience love. Knowing every heart is just like yours, wanting to give and receive love, desiring abundance and peace. See every heart of the world in your mind's eye and send them love. Knowing every heart in the universe is just like yours, wanting to give and receive love. Knowing peace begins with you, love begins with you, kindness begins with you, and war ends with you. By cultivating peace and love and kindness within, and ending the wars within. Take one final really big breath in for me. And one really big exhale out, one final exhale out. Coming back to the room, opening your eyes, getting comfortable again. Thank you so much for meditating with me. Gadir is next to close this portion of the meditation out with a poem. So thank you so much, Gadir.
Thank you, Aubrey. My name is Ghadir. I'm a Palestinian poet, founder of Words by Lady G Productions, LLC, utilizing poetry for the greater good. I pray for peace for us all, mind, body, and soul. May we continue to spread love during these hard times. I encourage each of you to make amends with all. With that being said, I'd like to originate where love has been lost. Hear me out. Today, you come across an old sentimental item or link up with a person you adore after X amount of years. That feeling right there erases away any bad days you may have had prior to today. What about the days, months, maybe years where love has been taken away from you? How do you cope with that? That's when I want to be found. I see you. Hold my hand and stare into my eyes until you're whole again. In this very moment, take my words, I love you. Absorb the positivity out of every letter and allow it to heal your pain. Seal the hole in your heart and throw away your sad thoughts with its magical powers. Be present. Uplift your spirit with the presence of my I love you. May you have peace and be at ease, find safety within and without, no doubts of where love will come next. I love you. May you have peace. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you, Gadir, for that beautiful poem. So, yes, we're ready now to start. And hello, everyone. My name is Chelsea Rivera, and I am the marketing chief for pledgeforpeace.org. And it's an honor to welcome you all to today's important conference. At Pledge for Peace, our mission is to foster global peace by addressing some of the most pressing conflicts and issues of our time. Our platform provides a space for individuals, organizations, and communities to come together, share ideas, and create actionable solutions for lasting peace. Our current focus is on the Israel-Palestine conflict, but we are involved in various global initiatives. If you haven't already visited our website, pledgeforpeace.org, it is designed to allow you to not only learn about our work, but also take part in it. You can explore resources, stay informed with our latest updates, and most importantly, contribute your thoughts and vote on peace solutions. So right now I'm going to show you our website and how you can be part of this. All right, so all you have to do is go to pledgeforpeace.org and you will be landing on our homepage. And these are two projects that we're working on at the moment. In this conference, we're going to be talking about the conflict between peace and between Israel and Palestine. So we're going to go ahead and click on that specific project. And right here, you can sign up in this square right here, put your name and your email, and then you click on Vote for Peace and Democracy. And that's it. That's all you have to do. You're already part of the project, and you can go ahead and vote on solutions or even support decision makers. So to vote on the solutions, you go to the tab that says Create Peace Agreement. And then you can go through all the solutions that were proposed in here, in which you can vote if you agree or don't agree, or even leave your comments if you can suggest something better, or just tell us what you think about these solutions. And in order for you to support decision makers, you go to the tab where it says Support Decision Makers, and you can put an amount where you're willing to pledge to these decision makers, but it doesn't mean that you are paying for this right now. It doesn't mean that you're donating this money right now. It just means that you're willing to pledge for this initiative. So you can go through all these political parties and read about the approach that they're taking on the conflict between Israel and Palestine and what are their stand on democracy. You can either donate on specific parties, or you can also comment on these parties based on what they're proposing, and you can rank them as well. So when you click on the ranking, you can also see all the proposals that they're promoting. And that's it. That's all you have to do. So moving on to our speakers, we're fortunate to have some incredible speakers with us today. Our first speaker is Peter Frerichs, a highly experienced content writer and consultant. Peter has worked across various industries, contributing articles, marketing collateral, proposals, and much more. With a master's degree in public administration and policy, he brings a wealth of knowledge and a unique perspective on social and political issues, making him a valuable voice in today's discussion. Please join me in welcoming Peter Frerichs.
Thank you, Chelsea. And it is a great honor to be with everyone today. And thank you for taking this time on a Saturday morning or whatever time zone you're in. I see there are a lot of folks from around the world in this room, and so thank you again. So today we will be discussing a path to peace for Israel and Palestine. And to begin, I would like to really extend a heartfelt thank you to one of the visionary minds behind Pledge for Peace, Mr. Raza Khan, who is on this call with us. When Raza first approached me with this project, I was really moved, not only by his passion, but by his commitment to really developing and growing this great organization. And Raza is the reason Pledge for Peace is where it is today. So thank you once again, Raza, for all your hard work and love and dedication to furthering peaceful solutions to complex issues. So kind of looking around this room, I mean, you can't see folks based on their video. You know, we've turned off video for a handful, but I assume we probably have quite a few parents in this room. And nowadays in 2024, parents, you know, of children, those kids, more likely than not, are usually on video games and other things online. And, you know, speaking from myself, I have a son who plays video games online, and you're really struck if you kind of look into what these kids are actually doing in these games. Some of these games are great. A lot of the games are great. But a lot of the games also involve violence, right? I mean, I can give you many examples of, you know, times where you walk into the room and you see your kid on the game and they're killing somebody else. And part of the game is, you know, you have to kill the bad guys in order to win something. And so kind of violence is inculcated in our culture, right? Now, are we bad parents? Hopefully not. I don't think so. But what I am going to propose to you all today is that most human beings the vast majority of parents, our kids are not going to grow up to be violent killers. That percentage is quite low, right? Despite all the games that they might be involved in. The vast majority of human beings are peaceful creatures. But unfortunately, we're typically grouped as a society into what is known as the silent majority, right? We remain silent in the face of great horrors. We remain silent when our collective voice, if voiced, could have an outsized impact on this world. So I want you all to, before we kind of move into why we're on the call today, I just want you all to consider the following. There was a landmark study out of Sweden. This was in 2013. And the study really aimed to determine what the distribution of violent crime and violent crime convictions in a population was. And so in Sweden, they looked from 1973 to 2004. We're talking 31 years. And they wanted to identify what are those kind of criminal, the academic, the parental, what are the different risk factors that lead to somebody for the persistence of violent crime. And so what did they find? Out of 2.3 million people, right? Like the vast majority, only 93,000 of that 2.3 million had at least one violent conviction, okay? Then you take that 93,000 and they drilled down even further. And of the 93, only 24,000 were persistent violent offenders. Those are folks that are persistently committing crimes, violent crimes. And so that 24,000 of 2.3 million, this represented only about 1% of the Swedish population, right? So you've got these 24,000 bad actors out of 2.3 million. Now think about this though, and I want everybody who can write into the chat to just write a number. But of that 1% of the Swedish population, right, that were the persistent violent offenders, how many or what percentage do you think that they accounted for of all of the violent crimes in Sweden? Is it 15%? 20%? Maybe even as low as 10%? Throw out some numbers. Let me see some numbers in the chat. 90, interesting. So again, we're talking about the 1% of the Swedish population that are violent offenders. What percent of violent crimes are they all committing? We've got a wide range here. Well, I'll tell you, the answer is 63.2%. 24,000 people out of a sample group of 2.3 million are committing 63.2% of violent crimes. So what does that tell us? That tells us, obviously, that we do have bad actors in the universe, but it also tells us that there are very few of them. In fact, it's very, very few. And there's much more than us, the silent majority, than there are of them. And so then, here at Pledge for Peace, when we say and what we believe that peace is possible, this isn't wishful thinking. Again, the numbers don't lie. There's many more of us than there are of them. And so those truly violent human beings around us are infinitesimally small. And so the question I pose to all of you is then, so why are we constantly defaulting to war? And when will the silent majority finally find their voice? Pledge for Peace. So the mission of Pledge for Peace is to catalyze peace through the actions of many via meaningful dialogue, shared stories, and collective action. And so just like you all on the phone are on the call today, we're also a group of individuals who wake up day after day, turn on the news, social media, what have you, really inundated with horror. In fact, my mother's no longer with us, but even when I talk to my dad and compare, sort of generations past, there's never been a generation like this that has so much access to not only what's going on in the world, but really some truly violent and horrific images on a daily basis. And so Pledge for Peace is a growing community that really tackles these tough problems, but something that Raza, our founder, thought about quite deeply is we can't make this complex. We need this to be simple and straightforward. And so we've created the first crowdsourcing platform for peace and democracy, uniting people in pursuit of peace and endorsing the leaders who are then committed to implementing peace through dialogue and not war. And so with Pledge for Peace, it's basically a 3-step process. Again, simple. You vote, like Chelsea's already showed everybody, you vote for peace and democracy and to reject wars. We then we contribute to solving the world's biggest peace and democracy crises by adding and ranking the solutions that I'll walk you through. And then finally, probably the most important is you endorse. You know, none of probably everyone on the call today, we could have, you know, a call for a week or a week and a half that would go on and forever about, you know, the problems with political parties, the left, the right, this, that, and the other. But Raza was very deliberate in his thinking that we need to work with the folks that are already engaged, right? If we have this concept of tear everything down and we're going to create something new, yes, you can create new political parties, but there also are quite a few political parties out there that also want what we want as well, right? And so the last portion of this is endorsing those parties and politicians, again, who are promoting peace and rejecting wars. So with that, I am going to share my screen here and walk you all through. Like Chelsea showed, we have our homepage here and we have our 2 initiatives, Democracy in Pakistan and Strengthening Peace and Democracies in Israel, Palestine. And so if we click here on our details, we get within this section, right? And so in this section, we have 2 parties. And when we say parties, we have, they're sides of the equation, right? They're sides of this issue. The first side is the side on the state of Palestine. And the second side is the side on the state of Israel. Again, no particular order. Now, it's important to know that that these action steps that you all are going to see here, these action steps nor their rankings have they been defined or altered or otherwise managed by myself, Raza, anyone else in the organization. These are all action steps and deliverables that were all suggested and then voted on by anyone that can log on to the platform. And that's what, again, the notion of crowdsourcing is. We want all of this to be issues that the majority can vote on and move up or down on this ranking, right? And so it's really, really important to know that you are deciding, and then the political parties must then face the voice of the collective people. So let's just look at a handful of these and to give everybody an idea of what others are thinking. And again, you know, you might, as I'm reading through these, you might think, Peter, that's a terrible idea. And again, none of these were suggested by us. And so you can always vote things up or down, or you can even add a new deliverable to this party. But so far, since we launched this, the number one, again, on the side of the state of Palestine, the number 1 ranked deliverable is Palestine should dismantle all armed group infrastructure and for 10 years rely on UN security without forming its own army. Now, when you click on these little arrows underneath each of the deliverables, you can see more context. And, you know, I'm not going to read through all of them, but I just want to give you all an idea of how folks are thinking. And so on this first one, this essentially includes the disarmament of militias and decommissioning of facilities that are used for military operations. And this 10-year period is with the UN security is similar in many ways to Japan and Germany after World War II. The next one, the second most popular, again, up until today, action step is Palestine should release all hostages and condemn the acts of October 7th. Now, with this, I think it's very important to note, as many of you on the call will probably concur with, is that the state of Palestine is not holding hostages, right? Hamas does. And so this point refers to the hostages held within the state of Palestine. Okay. Number 3, Palestine should secure support, or I'm sorry, Palestine should conduct free and fair elections to establish a democratic government. And this would be elections open to all eligible voters with international observers present for issues of transparency. The 4th one is Palestine should secure support from the majority of the Islamic countries, okay? And the OIC, that's the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, for the recognition of Israel and Palestine as independent states. This would be Palestine emphasizing that the recognition of Israel alongside a sovereign Palestine would contribute to resolving longstanding conflicts, fostering economic development, and securing the rights and aspirations of both peoples. And then finally, the 5th most popular deliverable action step is that Palestine should ensure that all citizens under 45 are employed full-time or complete a 12-month vocational education program. And this will rightly require heavy subsidies, obviously, from outside parties, countries and NGOs primarily, okay? And before I move into how you all can vote up or down on these solutions, I just want to take you through the 5 most popular on the state of Israel, and then I can show you all the easy way to vote up and down on all of those. Number 1 in Israel is Israel withdrawing from Gaza and the West Bank, with UN forces assuming control over these areas in the state of Palestine. And so the premise here is that the UN involvement would ensure stability, protect human rights, and foster conditions for peaceful coexistence. The second one is Israel should reform its constitution, legal and administrative systems to ensure equal rights for all citizens, regardless of religion, ethnicity, or color. These changes would obviously address any of the legal or the institutional barriers that may prevent full equality and inclusion for minority groups, such as non-Jewish citizens within Israeli society. And it would also be a commitment to equality that would further align Israel with international human rights standards and enhance its global reputation as a fair and inclusive democracy. We then have Israel should agree to a 2-state solution, creating an independent state, right, of Palestine, with secure and recognized borders alongside Israel. And this would be both nations having secure, recognized borders, which would also ensure peace and stability in the region. The 4th one is Israel should grant open access to all tourists, regardless of religion, to visit and enjoy its sites, promoting inclusivity and respect for the rich heritage shared by multiple faiths, including Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. And finally, Israel must evacuate illegal settlements in the state of Palestine and either dismantle or fairly compensate for the illegal settlements within Israel. And so these are measures that are crucial to achieving justice, not only for displaced Palestinians, but also fostering trust and creating the conditions necessary for long-lasting peace between Israel and Palestine. Okay. Here's an important action step that I would encourage everyone, if you could, to take on your own, either in your phone or on your computer, as I just want to show everyone how easy it is to vote on these. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to put your name, okay? And you're going to put your email. And then you're going to click Vote for Peace and Democracy. And once you do that, you'll see on the top here where it says congratulations. Congratulations, and thank you for standing up for peace and democracy. Please vote below on the solutions and rank the political parties on the peace index. So I'm gonna give everybody just a second to put in your name and your email onto the site. And then I'm going to show you, after you click vote for peace and democracy, I'm going to show you how to vote up or down on any of these solutions. So I'll just give a couple seconds for everyone to do that. Okay. So now, and again, let's say that I really like number 3 here, right? I think Palestine should conduct free and fair elections to establish a democratic government, and I like it better than number 2 or even number 1. So what I'm going to do is I'll click on vote up. And there it is. And so these move up and down based on the movements of all of you and everyone else that has been voting on these. And so it's a very dynamic system. We could log on in about 15 minutes and you might see some very different orders. Now, if none of these 5 issues for you are what you believe to be none of the 5 kind of most relevant deliverables or action items, you can add a new one. And so you just click here on the top, add a new one for the state of Palestine, you put your title and your description. This then goes to admin. Obviously, we can't post things that are harmful or violent or inappropriate. And so there is kind of a vetting process. But admin gets these constantly, and then they're placed up and they're either voted up or they're voted down. And if they're voted down, then they don't appear any longer. And if they're voted up, then they kind of move up the hierarchy. So that's for state of Palestine. And if you haven't done so already, look again through state of Israel and look at these different deliverables and action items and what Raza and I usually tell people when they're looking at all of these, be it Israel or Palestine, is, and I know this is tough, but take off the hat of whatever kind of bias you might have coming into this, right? Because we all have biases. I mean, I would say everyone on this call probably feels stronger to one solution or to another, but try and kind of think of this really as an outsider coming in. And if you all have family, obviously in Israel or Palestine or are personally affected by this, again, I know this is a difficult thing, but when we talk about crowdsourcing solutions, we're talking about solutions that we hope will work for both parties, not only one or the other. And so when you're voting on these, really try and think about that. And so again, same way with Palestine, you can look at the Israel side and either vote up or down. Say, I really like Israel evacuating illegal settlements, and I think that this issue is a lot more pertinent than any of these 4 issues ahead. I'm just going to click on vote up, and that's as easy as it is. And so again, I really encourage everyone to go in and do this. You can vote as many times as you want. We understand that people's, this is a ongoing conflict, and we understand that people's kind of opinions and feelings on this can change by the day, right? And so if you think, you know what, I really thought that a 2-state solution and secure recognized borders was my most important issue with Israel, but you know what? Now I think that the UN is going to have to play more of a protagonist role. You can go back in the next day and vote up or down on this. Okay. Now we get to supporting decision makers. Okay. Now, again, like we talked about, and this can kind of get interesting because none of these things, none of these proposed solutions that Pledge for Peace then delivers back to the political parties that have been crowdsourced, none of this can get implemented unless they agree to take the information that we're giving them, right? And so what happens is that the organization is in constant contact with embassies and what our members have been coming up with. And so on an ongoing basis, we're constantly sending updates to the various political parties that are involved in this conflict, right? So if we're here on support decision makers, again, the first area that we were in was create the peace agreement, and now we're on to support decision makers. Here, you're going to see not all of the political parties that are within Palestine and Israel, but the ones that are the most established, if that makes sense. Okay. So as the earlier page had ranked the different deliverables based on their popularity, this page is also ranking essentially the political parties based on a criteria that Pledge for Peace came up with called the Peace and Democracy Ratings, okay? So before I show you the criteria, I just want to show you the different political parties that are being represented here, okay? So you first have the Democrats from Israel, Fatah, Hadash-Ta'al, Ram, Israel Betenu, the Democratic Front for the Liberation of Palestine, Yesh Atid, the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, the Palestinian National Initiative, PNI, the National Unity Party, Shas, Religious Zionism, United Torah Judaism, and the Likud Party, as well as Hamas together, okay? Now, this page is in order of popularity, and how did it get that way? Well, it got that way through this criteria that I'm going to show you. So this criteria is very important. And again, this is all crowdsourced through everybody here. Within the criteria, we ask people to give a peace rating based on, in this case, the Democrats' party and how they fulfill these different metrics. So for example, do I feel that this Democrats party resolves conflicts peacefully, stands against war and aggression? And then, and then more information below. What ranking do I give that? Do I give it a 1? Do I give it a 4? Do I give it a 5? Right? And so again, this is all based on your feedback. And so folks go through and they look at these different peace ratings. Foreign policy. Does this party support democratic processes both externally and internally? Do they avoid divisive rhetoric? Do they advocate for the protection of minority rights? Do they support social and economic equality? Do they respect human rights and freedom of speech? Do they stand for gender equality, support a fair and independent justice system? And do they protect the freedom of expression and political dissent? And so again, based on everyone's ratings, you then get an overall peace rating for each metric. And then we take what's called a standard weight and apply that to the overall rating that they then get. And so for now, the Democrats, which the leader is Yair Golan, who is a former Israeli Labor Party leader, as well as Meretz, they are in the lead by a very small, slight advantage to Fatah. Okay. Again, this will change. I've already seen it change, plenty of times. And so again, you could log in here tomorrow and Fatah might be at the top while Israel Betenu moves up to second and Ram moves down. Because as we both know, as we all know, this is a very dynamic conflict, and these parties are kind of moving up and down the list depending on who you talk to. Yeah. Okay. Finally, what I'd like everyone to do as well is think about in a perfect world, after you've already kind of voted on your proposed action step and communicated that to the political party that you think is best situated to bring about peace in the region, think about how much of your own personal finances would you pledge to that party. And when I talk about a donation, I know this can also, be tricky because folks are like, no, already donated to X, Y, and Z. This is just another nonprofit asking for a donation. But think about it this way. If I told you that you could donate $1,000 and know that $1,000 would help to influence the one party that again you chose to bring about peace in this region, if that would be a meaningful donation to you. And I'm just throwing out a number. It could be $100, it could be $50. For some people, it could be $10,000. And so what we're asking people to do is, we're not asking you to donate money, right? What we're asking you to do is to pledge. And so a pledge is just that. And so I'm going to go to this pledge box and I'm going to say, me talking to myself, Peter, how much would you pledge realistically if you knew that the money would then go to the party that's selected to bring about the actionable steps that we all voted on, that were crowdsourced? And so I'm just going to I'm going to say, you know what? I would pledge $1,000 for something like that. It's going to be different for everybody, okay? You enter in your pledge and you say, I pledge to donate this amount to parties ranked high in the Peace and Democracy Index. And you click that and you get this little message up here. Thank you for your pledge. And the pledge then adds to the overall pledge. And so what is this overall pledge? Does this mean that Pledge for Peace has fundraised $1,760,706? No, what it means is that we have the pledges of thousands of people that have already added up to this amount. And what we're trying to get to is an amount of 20 million, of which we then go to the party and we say, we have the pledges from tens of thousands of people that would be willing to give up to $20 million in order to put a campaign in place to not only deliver peace in the region, but also to deliver on these actionable steps that we all voted on. Okay. Lastly, I want to take everybody to the volunteer part, because this is, I think, one of the more important parts. Again, everybody on this call, we are part of this silent majority. And the reason, and I think the biggest problem of why we're so silent is that we passively consume everything that's going on, but we don't get involved in it. And so I would like to, I'd like to invite anyone on this call that your time, usually in the fundraising world, we talk about the 3 T's. The 3 T's are integral for any good volunteer. You either have time, you either have talent, or you either have treasure. Now you can get all 3 of those and you've hit the jackpot. But what we're really looking for is folks that have talent and time, right? That say, you know what? Pledge for Peace, I've got experience in doing X, Y, and Z. I think I could help you move the needle on this, or I could help you move the needle on that. And so what we're really looking for is folks that want to be involved in the organization, that want to partner with us. This could also be through your organizations or your places of business. And we're always looking to expand our board, not only our board of directors, but our advisory board as well. And so super easy. We try and make this platform as easy as possible. Just name, email, a little bit about yourself, kindly advise your time and your skills, and then send. And we already have all of your emails and contact information for the conference. And so we'll be in touch with you as well. But please do consider being a volunteer, no matter how little time you might have. Because again, none of this gets moved unless all of us in the silent majority, unless we really get off the sidelines and we start becoming a little bit more vocal. And in this case, it could be with your time, your talent, or your treasure. Okay. With that, I would like to just take a brief moment to, I'm going to stop my share here, to let everyone know that we have had quite a few people that have come in to Pledge for Peace that have been great advocates of what we've been doing. And we have a few awards that we would like to give out to these folks because what they're doing, not only from the Israeli side, but also the Palestinian side is quite notable. And so we have 3 awards and we have 2 winners per award. So our first award is the George Washington Award for Peace and Democracy, and this is Democracy Over Power. On the Palestinian side, this is Dr. Hanan Ashwari. Dr. Hanan, or Dr. Ashwari, is a Palestinian politician, an activist, and a scholar known for her work in promoting Palestinian rights and advocating for peace in this conflict. And on the Israeli side is Merav Mitshael. Merav is an Israeli politician, a member of the Knesset, representing the Labor Party. She's served in various roles, including as the party leader since 2021, and is known for her advocacy on issues such as women's rights, social justice, and other similar rights. Our 2 awardees for the Thomas Jefferson Award for Peace and Democracy. This is Trade and Diplomacy Over War. On the Israeli side is David Grossman, who's a prominent Israeli author and playwright, known for his impactful literary works that explore kind of themes of love and loss and complexities of Israeli society. And he's also recognized for his political activism, particularly regarding peace and reconciliation between Israelis and Palestinians. And then on the Palestinian side, we have Sadi Nusseibeh, who's a prominent Palestinian philosopher, politician, academic. He is known for his advocacy of a 2-state solution and for promoting dialogue between both sides, and has written extensively on issues related to identity, nationalism, and the challenges facing the Palestinian people. And then lastly, we have the James Madison Award for Peace and Democracy, and this is Individual Rights Over Greed. On the Palestinian side, we have Bassam Aramin, who is a Palestinian peace activist known for his advocacy for the reconciliation between the 2 sides, and is also the co-founder of the Parent Circle Families Forum. And the other founder of the Parent Circles Family Forum is our other winner on the Israeli side, and this is Rami Elhanan. Rami is an Israeli peace activist known for his work also advocating for the coexistence between the 2 sides and doing really, really great work with the Parent Circle Family Forum. So with that, I am now going to pass you all back to Chelsea. And again, thank you so much for being here. I know Saturdays can be tough with everything else that's going on, with everyone's schedules. But more than anything, it means a lot to us at Pledge for Peace to count on your support, and hopefully this won't be the last time we talk. And we would love to engage with all of you as volunteers and as actors that can hopefully move this organization forward. So thank you. All right, Chelsea, over to you.
Thank you, Peter, for all that information, the awards. Congratulations to all the winners. So now moving forward, we have a really great interview with 2 amazing activists, Rami Elhanan and Bassam Aramin, who are both living testaments to the power of empathy and forgiveness. Rami, an Israeli peace activist, and Bassam, a Palestinian advocate, have experienced unimaginable loss. Rami lost his daughter, Smadar, to a suicide bombing, and Bassam's 10-year-old daughter, Abir, was killed by an Israeli soldier. Yet, rather than allowing grief to drive them toward hatred, they've channeled their pain into powerful peace movement. Rami and Bassam are co-founders of Combatants for Peace, an organization made up of former Israeli and Palestinian fighters who now advocate for nonviolence and reconciliation. Their work not only promotes peace, but demonstrates how deep personal loss can be transformed into a commitment to dialogue and mutual understanding. In the interview you're about to see, they will discuss their personal journeys and how their shared tragedy led them to fight for a peaceful and just future for both Israel and Palestine. This is a powerful example of how grief can be turned into positive action for peace. Let's take a look. In the journey toward peace, can you each share the pivotal moments that inspire you to shift from being a freedom fighter and a soldier to becoming advocates for peace?
You know why we fight in the first place? We fight to achieve justice and freedom, the Palestinian side, to our people. So if we have another opportunity to achieve the same goal without fighting, means without using the armed struggle or the violence, of course it's much better. But in fact, our reality, everything push you to be violence, to be active in violence ways. It's the opposite. Until you meet your enemy, until you meet the other side in the personal level, like me and Rami, for example, when we meet as our goal is to create a partnership for peace, not to be friends, not to love each other, not to like each other. Sorry. And the result, of course, we are human beings. If we come to the same conclusion that only peace can protect us, can gives us the security and justice to live in peace, we will follow this manner. Yeah, as I said, it's a long way. It's not like a turning point in one moment. It's a longer process to come to this conclusion.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
I was a victim of the Israeli upbringing method of the Israeli brainwashing system. I was born to a Holocaust survivor. I grew up in the Israeli education. And this man who I'm called my brother today, and he's the closest person to me on earth, when I was growing up was completely hidden from me. But in purpose, in order to enable me to be able to sacrifice my life in time comes. We are talking about two societies at war, and they need to prepare the young generation to be able to sacrifice themselves. And the only way to do it is by hiding the other side, demonizing the other side. So this is the way I grew up. I was a soldier. I participated in 3 wars. I raised a family in Jerusalem, and I was quite detached from the everyday life. I was living in a bubble, detached from the outside world, minding my own business. And 27 years ago, this bubble of ours was blown up to millions of pieces by 2 Palestinian suicide bombers who blew themselves up in the center of Jerusalem. And a year later, I joined the Parent Circle, which is an organization of Israelis and Palestinians who lost their loved ones in the conflict. And they believe that the basic issue of this victimhood is we pay the highest price possible because of this ongoing abnormal situation in which one people is dominating the other, the Israeli occupation of the Palestinian territories. And the year after I lost my daughter, my 14-year-old daughter, I was invited to join a meeting of this group of crazy people. And this meeting changed my life. I was 47 years old. It was the first time in my life I met Palestinians as human beings. And ever since then, I'm in a journey towards my brother Bassam, towards his culture, towards his music, his food, his history, his narrative. And I'm still in the middle of this journey, while my other Israelis don't even start to make this journey.
Wow. It's very inspiring how you guys change your perspective and see the other side of the story as well. So in the overcoming challenges in dialogue, given your backgrounds on opposite sides of the conflict, how do you initially navigate the skepticism and mistrust from your communities with when you started working together? What advice do you have for others who wants to breach divides?
You know, when we talk about trust between enemies, it's almost impossible. The magic or the key, let me say, to start bridging the divides, it's only when you start to listen. When you start to listen to the other side and respect what the other side said, it's the only way to let him sit down and listen to your narrative, to your story. You know, if we don't meet each other from far away, it's always, you know, the enemy, and the enemy have no human face. And I follow what Jalaluddin Rumi says. When he says, yesterday I was clever, so I start to change the world. Today I am wise, so I start to change myself. First, you need to listen to yourself, to change your view towards the others. Then you will expect the others to listen. Then you can create partnership. Then you can create trust. The trust between the Israelis and the Palestinians, that both sides need to recognize the right of the other side in self-determination. This is the only guarantee to live in peace and security. When you trust your enemy that he's a real partner, this is the beginning of the end of any conflict. And this is the beginning to start any relationship on any level. Respect the other side, listen to him, he will respect you and listen to you, then trust will come.
Wow, that is very true. I mean, the fact that you were able to actually listen to the other side, that's amazing. Do you want to share anything else? What about the other side?
There is no other side. In fact, there are no sides here.
Right.
We are the people who pay the highest price possible. We pay this price because there is a huge wall of hatred and fear that divide our two nations today. Now we are talking about two sides, but the two sides is not between Israelis and Palestinians. The line that divide us separate between those who want peace and are willing to pay the price of peace and all the others. And in that sense, what we are doing is banging our heads against this very high wall of hatred and fear, using the willingness of both societies to listen to us as people who pay the price. And we put cracks in this very high wall of hatred and fear. And through these cracks, a little light comes in, and a little light can drive away a lot of darkness. Now, we are not illusioning ourselves. It's not an easy task. It's like talking to the wall sometimes. But no one can listen to us and remain the same. When we speak to Israeli kids and to Palestinian kids and we tell our story, the crack in the wall enables the light to come in. And as far as I'm concerned, even in the end of the class, there will be only one kid, Israeli or Palestinian, nodding his head with acceptance to this message. It's a miracle. We saved one drop of blood. In Judaism, one drop of blood is the whole world. And I think we make a difference.
Yeah, you definitely are. You definitely are. So the power of personal transformation, what message would you like to convey to people who are still entrenched in the conflict, given your unique journeys? How can personal stories like yours inspire change?
Yeah, in fact, when we talk about the collective level, we are under the Israeli occupation. It's military occupation. and we have the right to fight and to use armed struggle, all means in order to end this occupation. But it's very important when we talk about the personal stories. For us, you know, we are stories. Every human being has his own story, his own narrative. We don't try to convince anyone. And the good thing in the storytellings that we learn from each other and we teach each other that you cannot argue with me. This is my personal experience. It happened to me. This is how I grow up. This is what I understand. So you need to listen to me again, and I will listen to you. The personal transmotive, it's very important because you will like affect the others. Always I said, if there is no Bassam in the Palestinian side, you will never find Rami in the other side. So when we talk to the people in logic, for example, we understand that we will live on this land. No one will disappear because the other side is wish that. It's a fact. So can we live together or side by side without killing each other? Or we will continue to kill each other? It's very simple. We sacrifice our lives for the land. We meet each other under the ground. And the land didn't recognize us. So why we are fighting? We are fighting for our dignity, our lives, for justice, for democracy, for freedom. We will continue to fight until we become free. And the other side wants security, the Israelis. They will never feel security until I feel free. So release me from your jail, you will have security. It's very logic, it's very simple, and of course people listen to that and they want to follow us.
Yeah, definitely. Your personal story is what unites each other. So would Brother Rami like to add anything to this?
I follow my teacher, Bassam. I follow his wisdom. I follow his nobility. And I learn a lot out of it. And I think we are setting an example to our both societies that it can be different, that we can use our pain in a different way, that we don't have to live on our swords forever. It's not written anywhere. And we can change this endless cycle of violence and revenge and retaliation. And it's our moral obligation to show our peoples the possibility of living together. We are here in Switzerland. There are 5 nationalities here, living together without killing each other. So many places around the world, United States, Belgium, Canada, other places where people are living together from different ethnicities and they respect each other. And in fact, this is the key word. You have to be able to respect the guy next to you exactly as you want to be respected, no more and no less. Once you achieve this, all the rest are technicalities. We can talk about it, we can discuss it. You can have the Temple Mount for 2 hours, I will have it for 1 hour. It doesn't matter as long as I respect you, as long as you are equal to me.
Definitely. That's something that we can all apply to our everyday lives, actually.
Yeah.
So in changing perspectives over time, if you could speak to your younger selves during the height of your involvement in the conflict, what would you say to challenge the perspectives you held at the time? What lessons have you learned that might help others reconsider their stance? We like to start with that.
I will say like this, never regret the past, never. It happened. Judge it, learn from it to move towards the future. But if you ask me at that time, in the said circumstances, with the knowledge that I know, I will repeat it again, the same, exactly. In this case, you cannot deny or deny your past, your identity, how you grow up, how you judge yourself. If I move back as a teenager now with what I know, of course, I will act differently because I learned that if you know more, you act much better. If you don't know, so you don't know. In these circumstances, this is how we act. If you regret about the past, and you will feel guilt, so you will never move on. This is what happened, and because of that, we understand the societies. We understand the anger that our societies go through. For that, it's very easy for us to approach it because we was there. We live the same experience. We have the same feeling. Now, when you respect their past, because you respect their past, again, it's very easy to move them. It's very easy to convince them. It's very easy for them to follow you because almost they hear the truth. And the truth, always when you hear it, it's something familiar. So I believe it's a great lesson to learn from the past, to remember the past, but never live in the past. Otherwise, you will remain stuck in this very painful past, and you will never have the ability to move on and to overcome your fears, your crimes sometimes, your brutality, whatever. You need to look forward and to build your future according to the very painful past, to have a new future.
That is very wise. Thank you so much for sharing that. How about Brother Rami?
I just wish I knew Bassam when I was back then a young person, that I was aware of his wisdom and nobility. I probably could have persuaded more young Israelis to change their minds and choose the other way. But as Bassam said, there are no regrets. My past is myself. My past is part of what makes me me. And it's built layer upon layer upon layer to create who I am today. And in that sense, it's very important that when I face the Israeli society and talk to them, that I'm not coming from above. I'm not a university professor. I'm not wiser than them. I'm not more intelligent than them. I'm one of them. I had the same experiences as they are, and I'm not looking down at them. I'm not patronizing them. I'm telling them from the experience of myself, from the depth of my pain. I'm offering them an opportunity to change, to choose a better way.
That is awesome. That is very inspiring that you guys were able to use your past and experiences as knowledge to become who you are today. So moving on to the grassroots peace initiatives. What role do grassroots organizations like Combatants for Peace play in complementing official peace processes? How can these initiatives create a sustainable impact on the ground?
You know, we says that we don't belong to a political organization. We are not political organization. I mean the Pearl Circle Families Forum that we are members in, the bereaved families who lost their beloved ones to the conflict, and also Combatants for Peace as co-founders of Combatants for Peace. It's very clear that we are looking for a political solution, but through civil society activity. We want to raise awareness among the Israelis and the Palestinians. They will make the political decision during through their elections, for example, to elect the right person who want peace, to follow them in order to achieve peace for both sides. So in this case, I believe we have a lot of effects on the grassroots level, on the society level, and this society absolutely will affect the politicians. And when we have any opportunity to talk to any politician, of course we will do. And we did a lot campaigning, but of course not with this kind of fascist government in Israel, for example. We approached many American politicians in order also, we believe they have the key to make a pressure on the Israeli government to stop this genocide, this occupation, these massacres, which we will continue If the situation will continue like this, we will continue to fight. You know, they assassinate Yassin, they assassinate, I don't know, Arafat, they assassinate Sinwar yesterday and Hezbollah before 2 weeks. They will never finish the problem. It's not a problem with persons. It's a problem with the occupation. It's a problem with every Palestinian citizen. So I believe through this message to say to the Israelis, only peace with the Palestinians can bring you security. They need to rethink again when they elect another government, to elect the right people, the brave people who are ready to pay the price of peace and make peace agreement with the Palestinians. This is our succeed.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're right. Absolutely. And Brother Rami, what would you like to share in that aspect?
I'm a little bit more skeptical about the ability of organizations and also politicians to change a situation which characterized in two basic elements, which are deep rooted into our culture, into our very being. The first one is the victimhood mentality. I'm speaking as a Jew. We are carrying on our backs 3,000 years of victimhood, a real victimhood. We didn't invent it. It's under our skin. We are afraid of everything. We consider to be the ultimate victims. No one else is allowed to be victim. And when our kids are growing up, when they are 16 years old, we send them to Auschwitz to teach them what victimhood means, and they come back draped with the national flag and the slogan "Never Again." And then the next day they sit in a checkpoint and they have to make a decision whether this old guy coming towards them is a grandfather or a terrorist, which is inhuman. So what we need to do, first of all, and before any other activity, is get rid of the victimhood mentality, is understand that looking back all the time and digging into our roots and repeating, touching the open wound again and again and again will not heal it. We need to look forward. We need to work in all levels of society, not to forget. You cannot forget and you cannot forgive. But you need to choose a better way to live. You need to choose life over death. You need to choose future over remembrance. And this sacred remembrance days and minutes and are not taking her anywhere. So I don't think it's up to the politicians, and it's not up to any organization. We need to work very, very slowly. We are talking about banging our heads against the wall and putting cracks in this wall of hatred and fear. And more than anything else, change the walls within our heads, which are the outcome of our education and upbringing. This need to be changed. We need to get rid of the victimhood mentality, and we need to get rid of the Jewish superiority. These are two things that prevent us from living a normal life like any other country, any other way all around the world. So we need to concentrate on changing this. And this can be done only by talking to each other.
I think you said a few things that are very important. And well, what you said, it's all important, but something that we can take away from this, it's choosing life over death and healing the past. And I think that's very inspiring. I mean, it's going to be slow process, but I do believe that peace can be a result of this. So in addressing barriers to peace, why the moderate and peace-loving political parties on both sides have lost the power, and how the extremist parties on both sides were able to gather support for them. What can be done again to bring silent majorities behind the moderate political parties and bring them back to the power? Who would like to start with that?
I want to say that, in fact, it's not fair to compare both sides here. We are not both sides. We are not equals at all. Israel is the occupier, the Palestinians under the occupation. So we didn't deal with both sides as like there are two sides, there are two countries, there are two governments. And if you are a Palestinian, it's very difficult to talk about fanatic or extremism. You are under a military occupation and you resist this occupation. Of course, resistance is very brutal. Resistance, why you occupied me and expect me to fight you with the flowers? So this is the point. Number two, even the Palestinian president say that he need a permit to move from one neighborhood to the other in the same city where he lives, from the Israelis and the Americans. So there is no both sides here. And according to the Palestinian president and politicians, we meet them many times in the personal level. They have no problem with us. They support us, but they have no power. Now, who decide the atmosphere on the region? It's the stronger. The stronger here is the occupier, is Israel. So I remember the same president who elect the Palestinian president, 1 year later, they elect Hamas. The same people. Now give the same people hope for peace. Peace talks at the end of the I don't know, 1 year, 5 years, 6 years, they will have their own state. The vast majority of those people will follow peace, as it's happened back in 1993, when Oslo Agreement have been signed between Israel and PLO. It's the same people. Give them hope, they will follow. Ask them to fight, they will fight. And this is what we are saying, that we fought each other more than 100 years. The result, until now, Israel is not safe. Palestine is not free, but more blood, more pain, more victims. And the last event, the conflict didn't start in the 7th of October. Unfortunately, it didn't end in the 8th of October. So people need to remember that what happened there in 2 hours, this separation wall that the Israelis and the Americans invest in billion and billion of dollars to build it, it fell down in 2 hours. Imagine if they use the same amount of money. If they have will to peace, they will make peace. They will build 10 Gazas and 10 West Banks and 3 Israel with the same money that they invest to fight each other and to keep the occupation continue.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we all wish that the money was spent towards peace more than war, but it's not the case. What about Brother Rami? Is there anything you'd like to add to this?
The only thing I have to add is there is the current situation, which is black than black. We are deep up to here in our victimhood, in our blood, in our pain, in our anger, and our humility, and it's very difficult for us to step out of it. But if you rise up above the current situation and you look at the historical direction, then there is no other way. I was a soldier in 73 with a horrible situation, and 5 years later, there was a peace agreement with Egypt, which holds on until today. Look at the Irish people. 800 years it took them to get to their agreement. They don't like each other, but they don't kill each other. The Berlin Wall fell down. The Soviet Union collapsed. The apartheid regime disappeared. United States and Japan. Atomic bomb. What else do you need? They are the best friends. The Germans, the French, the English. Things are changing. Things are changing. Bassam always said that the Israelis did not kill 6 million Palestinians, and the Palestinians did not kill 6 million Israelis. And there is a German ambassador in Tel Aviv and an Israeli ambassador in Berlin. So if you look at the wider picture, the outcome is obvious. One day we will live in peace. When the price of not having peace will exceed the price of peace, the two sides will crawl back to the negotiating table to start again where they left off 24 years ago in Camp David. This is the historical direction.
Well, we hope that we achieve peace sooner than later. But thank you both for sharing these amazing stories and knowledge as well. And we would like to apply what we took from this interview into our model and program as well for Pledge for Peace.
Please
And
do.
yes. And now we'd like to ask you on what sort of like your insights as well for this organization. What would you say about pledgeforpeace.org model to create peace and strengthen democracies in Israel and Palestine? And a little bit about our model is that it unites peace-loving people from around the world, especially Israelis and Palestinians, where they can suggest solutions and rank the political parties on peace and democracy index. So those parties may come back in the power who score high on peace and democracy. So is there anything you'd like to comment on that? And it would be very important for us to hear.
I think Pledge for Peace organization, you are doing a sacred job. Every positive effort towards peace, justice is very important. And especially when you talk about democracy, a real democracy, not state democracy. We know that what's the meaning of democracy for the states. It means the governments, but a real democracy. It's the only guarantee that we will live side by side around the world, not only in Palestine and Israel, respecting each other. If you don't protect democracy, democracy will never protect you. So I believe what you are doing is sacred, is very important, and never give up, because if you act, absolutely, you will see the achievement, even if it will take long time, but this is our way to go step by step until we arrived, and we will arrive. All of us together, we will make our world, our universe, much better and much safer.
Thank you. That's very inspiring to us to hear. And is there anything finally for Brother Rami that you would like to tell us about our model?
I'm afraid I don't know so very much about your model, but I know about my model.
Yes.
And my model is Mr. Bassam Aramin. My model is people who are willing to pay the price of peace, people who are willing to respect each other, people who are willing to treat each other in equality and not patronize each other. I always say I'm the son of a Holocaust survivor. My late father was an Auschwitz graduate. 85 years ago, they took my grandparents to the ovens here in Europe, and the free and civilized world stood aside, never lifting one finger. And today, while these two crazy nations of ours are massacring each other without any mercy, while this genocide is taking place in Syria and atrocities in the Ukraine, and wherever you look, and the free and civilized world is still standing aside, doing nothing. And standing aside, doing nothing, while a crime is being committed is also a crime. We don't want people to import our conflict to their societies. We don't want people to be pro-Israeli or pro-Palestinian. This will not help us, this competition of victimhood. We demand of you to be pro-peace and to be against injustice and against this ongoing situation in which one people is dominating the other. This is the essence of the problem. It must be changed. It can be changed. And I will finish with a message of a Jew. And I am a proud Jew with the utmost respect to my people and to my tradition. And I will tell you that ruling and oppressing and humiliating and occupying millions and millions of people for so many years without any democratic right is not Jewish. Period. There are no two ways about it. And being against it is not anti-Semitism. And if you get into an argument, you can quote me.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I think this interview was very motivating for us, actually. And it's an honor to have you both here because we want to show the people around the world that peace can be achieved if you are really committed to achieve it. And
Absolutely.
yes.
Absolutely. We agree totally.
So
I
now,
would thank you so much. I would take over from here. What an inspiring interview from both of you. I think that it is a very enlightening for me, and I think would be for many out there who would be watching it and would be listening to both of you. What a great example! How you have turned your losses, your sorrows, your pains into the opportunity and in a promise and in a bright future. As you said that if there is going to be even a small crack in the wall, right? That is the source of the light, and I think that's what you're creating, and it is extremely inspiring for us. So thank you so very much. I have a couple of questions because even though I did not really want to be part of this, and I thought that Chelsea is going to be doing it, but I'm so inspired myself that I cannot stay quiet. So on a personal level, I would like to jump in and ask a couple of questions.
Please.
As one of the board members of Pledge for Peace, that what we see, like even if you take an example of America, right, in USA, when slavery used to be here, so blacks legally were the slaves of whites, right? In Palestine and Israel, it is at least there is an understanding that the Palestinians are not legal slaves of Israelis, but in USA, the blacks, they were the legal slaves of whites. And from there, the country, how the Civil War happened, and how a majority of the white people, they stood up for this cause. The great leaders of America, from George Washington to Abraham Lincoln and all the great leaders, they were not blacks. Martin Luther King definitely is the greatest leader, for peace and democracy. But if you see the source of change, that was mainly from many, many moderate, peace-loving, democracy-loving white people, where it came from that no, slavery is wrong and this needs to be turned around. And together, blacks and whites in America over the years, they fought for it. And there were two different sources. There were two different differentiations here for the leadership. One, who would create hate, who would create fear, who would create, that they're gonna kill you, they're bad people, they're this, they're that. And the other side of the leadership was hope, justice, peace, democracy, non-violence. And eventually, America showed to the world that yes, we can come to the table, we can come to the agreement. My question to you is that what happened in Israel and Palestine? There used to be Labour Party back in 1980s and 1990s, right? Which was a bit more moderate, and Meret's party, which used to be a bit moderate, and still I think they are, and now they have combined into the Democrats of Israel. And same goes on the Palestinian side, where Hamas was not really that active. And what I see that that the hate and the divisiveness and the differences, the religion, all these kind of things were used as tools by these hardliners as a way for them to attract the masses and be able to come into the power. And then the last 25, 30 years, the moderates were pushed aside. And then these hardliners on both sides, they came into the power. So my question to you is, and I would like to really understand that why moderate parties in both sides, they lost that, recognition, and why the peace-loving Israelis and Palestinians, they were trapped by these hardliners on both sides and were able to stand behind these hardliners, behind Hamas, and unfortunately, I would say the current Israeli leadership as well. And these, parties, they were able to use the hate and religion and differences as a way to get into the power. Give me a little bit insight on that from both of you, please.
I will say like this, George Washington and Abraham Lincoln, I don't believe that they were peace lovers or democracy defenders, but they were intellectuals. This is the only difference. Now you remind me with what Nelson Mandela says. He says, I didn't end the apartheid regime by the rifle of the black South African fighters, but with the minds and pencils of the white intellectual South Africans. The people, when they understand that they cannot continue like this, then politicians suddenly became pragmatic and put an end. When the father of the apartheid regime in South Africa understand that they cannot continue like this, suddenly the same person who create the apartheid suddenly recognize the apartheid, suddenly understand that they cannot, this minority, rule over the majority as slaves. In our situation, it's the same mentality. If you ask me, this is what I hope so. I work so. This is one of my goals, to talk to the white intellectual Israelis, to let them understand that you will never have security until I have security. They need to look forward to understand that they cannot continue like this. Again, to judge Hamas and Israel, even I don't accept it. We are not on the same level. What do you expect from Hamas? It's not a conflict between Hamas and Israel. It's an occupation among the Palestinian people. Hamas is the creation of Israel. PLO is the creation of Israel. Fatah is the creation of Israel. There is no occupation. There is no Hamas, no Fatah, no Popular Front, no Islamic Jihad. If you want Hamas to disappear, end your aggression tomorrow. That's it. You will never see Hamas and others. So to talk on the same level between the occupier, what's going on now, it's more than barbaric. It's more than crimes. It's more than gangs. It's undescribable. So in the political level, and the whole world keeps silence about this crime, to blame the Palestinians, there is no fair. Now we don't agree with Hamas, with their way to end this conflict. We believe we fought each other more than 100 years. The result until now, Israel is not safe, Palestine is not free. We don't need more war. We can fight. We are not cowards. But we claim that we want to live and not to die. So in this case, we are killing each other. Let us sit down and talk, because I understand that in the end, even if we defeat them militarily, we need to sit down and talk. So let us sit down now and talk, and to save those lives from both sides.
Okay, Brother Rami, I'm gonna come to you, but because Brother Bassam is making very good points, I have to ask another question from him. Okay, PLO, Fatah, Hamas, they are all creations of Israel, and I do, also I think that it does make a lot of sense. But my question is, where is the Martin Luther King of Palestine today? Where is Bassam Aramin, who is not coming to the road and saying, I am the Martin Luther King of Palestine, and I believe in non-violence, And
But Bassam Amin is the Martin Luther King of Palestine.
he is, right? I'm just trying to double check
Briefly,
because that's the only thing I'm doing.
I understand. Briefly, Martin Luther King, the Palestinian, and Nelson Mandela, the Palestinian, and Gandhi, the Palestinian, they are in jail, my brother. They are in the Israeli prisons for more than 30 to 50 to 30 to 40 years until now. They are in jail. This is
Okay.
what they face. So I
So
don't.
what you're saying is that as soon as any bit moderate or peace-loving kind of a political party try to stand up in Palestine, they are forcibly are put into the jail. Is that what you're
Absolutely, or be assassinated.
or assassinated? Or
Yeah, they have two ways.
Hmm.
For that, luckily, I am not very famous like Martin Luther King or whatever.
Don't worry, we believe in you. Okay, Brother Rami, you come to us.
For that, just to add one thing, we thought it's 5 minutes, but we're going to talk longer. You know, the Israeli government abandoned us in the parent circle, me and my brother Rami and others, to go to talk to the Israeli kids, to spread the message of peace and reconciliation and recognition and understanding. Why? Because we are very dangerous, because we are poisoning the minds of the kids. So, which Martin Luther King you are talking about?
No, I understand, but I tell you, and I'll come to my point. But Brother Rami, your turn, please. Enlighten us why the hatred has taken over love. Why the moderates, Labour Party, Emirates, they have lost.
They
What
are not
can
so
we do?
moderate, Labour Party. They are not so moderate, even Meretz. And you show complete ignorance. This the conflict started 150 years ago with a slogan, a Zionist slogan, which says a land without a people for a people without a land. This is the beginning. Now, if you look at the Labour Party and if you look at Meretz, they are representing this slogan. And the far point that they are willing to go is the two-state solution. But most of the Israeli left was killed by Mr. Ehud Barak in Camp David in the year 2000. There are no more leftists in Israel, and there are no more peace-loving people. And what is dominating the Israeli society today is the victimhood mentality, is the feeling that no matter what, we have to hold the sword in our hand, and the minute we will let it down, we are dead in the sea. And this is something that is put into your veins from day one, from kindergarten, until you go to the army. And this is something which is deep, deep inside us. Look at the Israeli media now, after October 7th. They are repeating and repeating and repeating every second of October 7th, and they are incapable of moving forward because they are deep down in their anger, in their humiliation, in their will to revenge, and they turn the right for self-defense to the right for revenge. So we are talking about sick society. We are talking a society without any moderates, without a sane voice. Even the what is known as leftists, as Meretz, as a Labour Party, and all this, all are united in this lunacy which we cannot get out of it. And as I always say, and I will say it again and again as long as I need, we need to do a restart, like in a computer. We need to redefine the reasons that we are willing to kill for and die for. We need to make a plan how to get rid of those old truths and find another way in which Mr. Bassam Aramin can be my president and my king and my emperor and my whatever he wants to be, because we are equal. And the basic problem is the definition of the state as a Jewish democratic state. It doesn't work. It's contradictory. You cannot be a Jewish state and be democratic. You cannot be
I understand.
democratic and be in Jewish state. And this is the essence of the problem. Now, if you go to the demonstrations against Mr. Netanyahu, no one is talking about this big elephant in the center of the room. The word occupation is not there. And this is the essence of the problem. And most of the Israelis are incapable to face it. And this is the problem.
And I agree with you. And thank you for enlightening us. And really, we are ignorant when it comes to it. We want to learn from you. And that is why we are having this conference. So thank you for your insight. But my point again goes here is that, and I'm using as an example that the blacks, they were being killed. Blacks were being put into the jails. Blacks were being done. They were being controlled by the government and all that, right? My point to you is, and I think we're going to be finishing it in 7 minutes, that what do we do? How do we bring the masses to the roads? How do we bring the moderates together? Pledgeforpeace.org is an effort to bring the masses together where they can go ahead and they can create the solutions, and they can go ahead and they can put their names next to the parties and say, okay, you know what, out of these 8, at least this one party has a little bit of credibility. Let's support and then let's try to influence them and then bring them to the power. What I understand the problem. I want to know the solution. What do we do to go ahead and start bringing this change back into the minds of people, that when moderates would be behind a political party, two-state solution is possible? Brother Rami, you start this time. Tell us, what is the solution? How do we convince the Israelis, especially in this case, the moderates? I'm not talking about the powers. I'm not talking about the leaders.
Okay, let me answer.
People. Yeah.
We can change the minds of people. We can change the thinking of people by not beating around the bush and not telling them lies, and not portray the future in bright colors which are not existing. What we need to do is to redefine the reasons that we are killing or die for. What we need to do is to do research. We need to tell the people that we can have one state, we can have 2 states, we can have 10,000 states, we can have federation, we can have confederation. All these are technical solutions. A state is not a sacred thing. You don't die for the state and you don't kill for the state. It's a technical tools. You pay your taxes, you get services, you get security, you get roads. You don't die for it. And we need to redefine the reasons of which we are dying and killing. And I said earlier, and I will repeat it 10 times more, the key word is respect. The key word is equality. I need to be able to respect Bassam as I want to be respected. No more and no less. And once I achieve this, all the rest are technicalities. We can solve anything. Between the river and the sea, there are 12 million people. Half of them under military rule. Half of them don't vote for anyone. Half of them don't make the rules according which they are going to jail. This needs to be changed from the bottom.
I agree, and thank you so much. And I think what you are talking about is the dream. It's the wish, and it is a very respectful dream and very respectful wish. And I would just like add 1 cent here. I think what you two are doing and what we are trying to do with Pledge for Peace, these are the solutions. You know, what happened 100 years ago, 200 years ago, there was no social media. We have much better way to show your stories to the world and hopefully bring these people who have been hypnotized with hate and religion and all that back into the moderation. Brother Bassam, please, you give us your last part, and then we would thank you.
The solution is very simple for me. The solution is where you are. The solution in United States of America. Imagine United States of America invest in the last 20 years more than $41 billion to build the strongest army in Afghanistan to fight Taliban. What happened? 1 week, no fights, collapse, and Taliban come back to power. Imagine if they invest in the same $41 billion to build Afghanistan again, to spread these values of democracy and human rights and equality. What will happen? They will build 10 Afghanistans. Imagine more than 1 year. I don't want to talk about 75 years, only the last year. What's going on there? It's a genocide. It's a very clear genocide. If you wanted mass killing, welcome. If you wanted ethnic cleansing, it could be. Who prevent to stop this massacre against 50,000 kids and women? United States of America, by its veto. But they are very worried. Absolutely, this is, I need to say that. Always they are worried about the situation in the Middle East. So my brother, you need to work mainly with the United States of America, with the politician of the American administration, to tell them that even if you support Israel since 75 years, the Palestinians forget to die, they're still there. But you gain your life on the blood of the Israelis and the Palestinians. Both of us are victims to the American policy. I said that in the Congress. I said that to the American politicians. I said that in the media, and said that to many American ambassadors. And when I told them that, they said, we agree with you.
Agreed. Okay, so this is also it's something which needs to be definitely told to our fellow Americans here, that peace and democracy cannot be established and created through wars. Yes, there are examples in the history, which some people they use as an argument that look what happened in Japan, after the nuclear bomb, there is peace. Well, you know what? After the nuclear bomb, there are still babies being born in that country, without hands and without brains because of the impact of the. So the path to the peace can be through love and through respect, and exactly how both of you have pointed out, or through the other ways. But through the other ways, you're talking about devastation for centuries to come and decades to come. My personal thanks, my deepest admiration. And I think you are our solution. You are our, torch of peace and democracy. And thank you so very much for the work you both are doing. You are your inspiration for us, and we are very sorry for your losses, which you both have done. And
Thank you. Thank
on
you
your
very much.
personal level. Thank you so
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you very much.
both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As we come to the close of today's conference, I want to take a moment to thank each of you for being here and for your commitment to fostering peace in Israel and Palestine. This is not just a conversation, it's the beginning of action. And we need your help to make it real, to make it happen. First, I encourage all of you to sign up on our website, pledgeforpeace.org. By joining our platform, you'll become part of a global community dedicated to building peace and supporting democratic solutions. Together, we can amplify our efforts and move closer to a world where peace is not just a dream, but a reality. Next, I want to ask you to consider pledging an amount towards the Israel and Palestine project. Like we explained, this is not a donation. This is not something you have to pay for right now. This is just to show that you are all willing to pledge to find peace in Israel and Palestine. And every contribution, no matter the size, directly supports the initiative we've discussed today. We also invite you to use the site to engage with our peace building tools. Take a moment to review the solutions and rank the political parties that align with the peace process. Your input helps shape the direction of our work, and by participating, you play an active role in guiding the future of peace efforts in the region. Lastly, I ask you to share our website on your social media or with friends and family. The more people we reach, the stronger our collective voice for peace becomes. By spreading the word the word, you're not just sharing a website, you're sharing hope, unity, and the possibility of a better tomorrow. Thank you all again for your time, your attention, and most importantly, your dedication to peace. Let's continue this important work together and make a lasting impact. And now we're going to have Gadi, we're going to have a poem recited by our collaborator, Gadi.
Thank you, Chelsea. That was an amazing interview. In a land where earth and sky embrace, two peoples stand face to face, bound by history's heavy thread, by blood that spilled and tears that spread. The soil remembers ancient cries, echoes of loss beneath the skies. Yet somewhere in the olive shade, dreams of peace refuse to fade. Two hearts both longing to be free, divided by stone, by land, by sea. But if we look beyond the wall, we find a child, we hear a call. She speaks of hope in broken tones. She builds a bridge with fragile stones. His eyes reflect the same bright lights, despite the wounds, despite the scars. What if we laid our weapons down and kissed the earth of common ground? What if we chose to see the pain and walk together through the rain? For in each tear, a story flows of shared humanity that grows. In every prayer, a whispered plea to live in peace, to just let be. The rivers know no boundaries line. The winds do not choose sides, they shine. The sun that warms one side of land will reach the other hand in hand. And so let hearts that ache and bleed find room to plant a different seed. Let walls dissolve, let hatred cease, for both deserve a place of peace. For Israel and Palestine may see their fate entwined like ancient trees, and in their roots, both deep and wide, the strength to heal lies side by side. So let us sing through voices shake, a song of love for coexistence' sake. For only together can we mend the broken path that never ends. Thank you.